I have been very surprised at the media in the United States and so forth. But be that as it may, it does seem as if the media are able to lull us into accepting the sorts of answers that make us comfortable. The South African government was aware that white people would generally be averse to anyone who wanted to suggest that the status quo that was operating at the time should change. And that is not surprising at all. I mean, if you were the beneficiary of the kind of privileges that accrued to you simply and solely because you were white, and the government told you that this was because they were applying this particular policy which separated these black hordes who were going to drive you into the sea. It isn't surprising that many bought into that. And it was very difficult to have the alternative story told, especially on radio and television. Sometimes the newspapers, and there were very courageous editors. We had newspapers that did try to tell the other side of the story. But one of the things that I have found I wanted to do was to thank the media outside of South Africa, because they helped to tell our story and indicated that we were not fire eaters. We were not about, which is of a different kind of world. A world that says we put high value not by hoarding. How about sharing? Is it possible to make people see that God's dream is for us to be family? And you have the capacity to get people actually seeing that, because isn't it one of the most extraordinary paradoxes that we would have thought our time is a time of great cynicism, hard-nosed, macho. We seem to see as the things that we admire those who are successful. And we don't mind too much what they succeed in, as long as they succeed. Sort of the worst possible thing that ought to happen to anybody is failing. But one of the extraordinary things is that we don't, in fact, revere those successful ones. The people that the world admires. I mean, you sort of go liquid in your knees in the presence of some of these people. Say, Mother Teresa. you could say a lot of things about her, but certainly macho would not be one of them. The Dalai Lama, when Princess Di, you say, there's been this outpouring, and you think, why? Nelson Mandela, when he was not president of a hugely successful country materially, and you say, why? And the fact of the matter is that people admire goodness, which is paradoxical. That people they admire Mother Teresa not because she was successful. You can't say she was particularly successful. I mean, she showed a great deal of compassion and so on. It wasn't because she was successful. It was because she's good. Nelson Mandela is good. The Dalai Lama is good. And there was a great deal about Princess Di that is good. Seeing her handling a baby with AIDS made people's hearts leap and say, actually, it is good to be human. That is what we would want to be like. And the fact of the matter is, actually, despite all appearances to the contrary, we are made for goodness. And the theologians will speak about the fact that we're created by God, like God, for God. That ultimately only God can satisfy the deep yearnings of the human psyche. An African saint spoke about how, God, you have created us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they find their rest in thee. We are extraordinary because we are the finite made for the infinite. And anything less than the infinite can never really fully satisfy us. And that is why we were always forever striving after transcendence, beauty, goodness, love, joy. That's how we are made. And whenever we see glimpses, catch glimpses of goodness, our hearts leap. And you don't even have to sell the article. It sells itself. I finished.